let's start at once with the step-by-step section of the tutorial. I've made a cleanup. I have kept a mirror modifier, an armature deform modifier, and a subdivision surface modifier level 1. For the bones, I just kept the head neck bone, and for the vertex groups, just the deform bone. The wave painting for the head bone is for the neck bone. For the objects, I only kept the body mesh object. First thing I want to do is create a mask modifier for only showing the head without the ears. I'm selecting these face loops here, hiding them. Then I select link it here and here, hide the body and the ears, add a vertex group. I'll call this, I'm gonna select all mesh, assign, let's unselect and select again, that's good, that's what I need. Then we go to modifier properties tab, add a mask modifier, I put here on the vertex group that I just created. Then I can invert that, but that's not what we want, just want that one. Let me just put this at the top. If I lose this selection or the hidden mesh, then I just have to select this, Ctrl I to invert selection and then hide, and there we go. So now it is protected from here and hidden on edit mode, and also hidden masked on object mode as well. Another way to do it is select the vertex group, then Shift H for hide unselected. Mesh show hide, so mesh show hide, hide unselected. Very handy operator. I need another vertex group for the eyes region, but this not for a mask modifier. This is mostly for wave paint related stuff. Okay, so I guess this is good enough. Then I'll call it mask eyes region. Assign, never forget to assign to check everything is good. So now when I Shift H here, look what I have. This is very fundamental. If I have all the rest of the head showing all the time, this is very annoying. Next, before I develop the eyelids mesh, is making the eye surface mesh object. Because this is on object mode, I should duplicate this modifier and using this the eyes region vertex group temporarily for a mask modifier, right? So I'll start adding a surface object, a nerve surface. Here it is. First thing, I'll add a material for it so I can have a better differentiation of colors. I'll add a mirror modifier which won't appear here immediately. First I'll lock its position. I apply transformations, then I can, on edit mode, start reshaping it the way I want. So this can take some time. You don't need to, you can skip this step because it can be a little tiresome to watch, but actually it's funny to develop the shapes like that. So I'm more or less used to this method. I cannot have the interpenetrations like this, but I still want this surface to be large. I'm gonna hide the mirror modifiers. I want this object to be larger enough so that the shrink wrapping bones for the eyelids, right, they would be able to surf on top of it. Here I will have some limitations of it because I'll be using the same object. However, on the top and on the bottom it should be fairly easy to accomplish that. Let me change the viewport shading. Could have more light in this scene. Let's try. Yes, now it's better. Make a vertical split. I'm creating those areas so that I can have something more or less like a reference from those model sheet views, right? The top is very protrude in relation to the bottom. I'm using the subdivision surface modifier, but I want to have a face loop being the one into which there will be this interface of interpenetration between the two objects. And also I need to avoid some gapping. You see, there's horrible gaps there, so let's fix this by making some. So maybe all the object must go a bit forward. It doesn't really need to interpenetrate at this point, because I'll make the connection, let's say like that, after starting to create the eyelids meshes. But for now, if I can make it interpenetrate, then this is a better starting point, I guess. Because then I have less stuff to transform on the face mesh. So I can indeed use this vision from the back to have a notion of the interpenetration, so even working from here may be more beneficial. And I have very little space to work for the eyelash bones here if I want them to shrink wrap to this. But that's it. It's still feasible. Not ideal, but still feasible. So I should be wary about this pointy edge here. Maybe setting this to as back as possible. Yes, stronger curves is helpful. But I cannot lose the interpenetration, otherwise there probably be some gapping here, you see. Just details, but taking a bit more time here, it's not a bad idea. Another split here, so this could be the back view. Let's see what we can improve here. This shape is still not as I wanted. Yeah, this must keep higher. Something like that. Right, and here maybe I should forwards just a bit. Cut this slightly. Okay, the top is always on the wrong face loop. Okay, this should be good enough for this tutorial. First, let me delete the mirror modifier. I'll duplicate it. I will create a new collection for extras. I'll put these objects in the collection, except that the duplicate would be the backup eye surface left backup, whatever name. This one goes for the main collection. I need to parent it to the armature object in a special way. I'll make a bone parenting, so I go on edit mode for the armature object, activate screencast. Sorry, it is activated. Okay, select the bone. I go on object mode, select the surface object, shift click, select the armature object, Ctrl P, and set parent to bone, not bone relative. That will be another kind of relation. And now if I pose the head, I have, yes, this is happening because this one is not parented and I don't want to visualize it anyways. Now you see, that's what we want for the face rig. I'll rename this, so this will be eye surface left because there will be a right side. I need to convert this to a mesh object. There we go. And then I could just use a mirror modifier, right? But a faster way would be to symmetrize it on its duplicate. Just make sure this is on the world origin and that I have this pivot point around the 3D cursor. Go on object, mirror, X global. Well, oh, of course, it didn't work because I have this locked. Let's do it again. Now, yes, so now let me lock everything. And now I rename this right. I cannot accidentally pose them. That's great. And let me not make this selectable because it doesn't matter right now. I'll not be touching this mesh anymore. Gonna start working on the eyelids mesh. Edit mode, hide the armature object. This time I don't want the subdivision surface modifier to be interfering. I need X-ray option. And now I will activate the snap option and snapping to face nearest. This is very handy. You remember I have this vertex group here, the eyes region, so I just do this and here we go. So now I just grab this, it already makes the connection, right? So this is very easy to work. I should be careful enough to do this with all of the vertices, and I can even do that with multiple ones selected at once. Sometimes there are some difficulties of making this kind of multiple editions, so then we have to adjust some options here. Okay, anyway, so I must do this for all the vertices. And make sure that I'm doing this from a state that has not the subdivision surface on, because this would make a different operation. And then maybe just this, really this mesh is not really smooth. Maybe I can make some adjustments right here. I can then smooth this out like that and also then pose it in the entire edge ring. Yes, doing it for the entire edge ring also works. So yeah, maybe I've wasted a lot of time, right? Now we can start developing the eyelids meshes from here, because this is actually connected.